G'day, my friends. We are about days away from Elimination Chamber Perth, as some people are calling it, including on Wikipedia. It was called Elimination Chamber Perth. So, of course, what do we have to do? We have to guess what's going to happen. I'm not going to use the word predicted, and of course, if all of a sudden the title changes to predicted, it means what I did right didn't do well, and I'm desperately trying to catch up. It's an interesting show at the moment, because of course we are doing this a couple of days before WWE SmackDown, where more stuff could be added. But at the moment, there is a whopping 4 matches. Now, actually, this does make sense, because you have 2 Elimination Chamber matches that are going to go a while, but you also have that Grayson Waller segment where Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes are going to be his guests. And you have to presume that on that thing, we're going to set up a tag match at WrestleMania 40, which means we'll start here. This is what we'll start predicting. We'll start guessing, are The Rock and Roman Reigns going to be in Australia? Now, look, I very much doubt it, because 1, that's a hell of a long trip, and 2, I just don't think The Rock would have the time. He just launched not a brand new energy drink, but he's got a brand new marketing campaign. He's doing stuff with the Football League, and I think he is going to be on this week's SmackDown, but only because last week's SmackDown was filmed. He was on that one, so there's going to be some backstage stuff, so you could probably tie it in there. However, it's nice and fun to throw it out into the ether. But what I would do here is I would make sure you get that tag team match down. You guarantee it as the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania, or at least whatever you want to do. I suppose the only difference is that Grayson Waller, leading up to this, has called out The Rock a lot. And do not forget, there's been a lot of moving parts here, and The Rock was meant to be a babyface at this time. I'm glad that we changed heel. I think it was the right thing to do. We listened to the fans, which is always important. But originally, if you were going to do a Grayson Waller effect, and you had Grayson going, oh, Rocky, I think you're an absolute dill hole, maybe he is there. And maybe originally he was going to come out and he was going to rock bottom Grayson Waller. Now look, we are in fantasy territory 2072 here, but sometimes it's fun to do it. But I'm going to guess that they're probably not there. And yeah, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, maybe they beat up Grayson Waller, but ultimately this is like, I'm repeating myself now, but this is done so we can start getting a better idea of WrestleMania, because when we come out of the Elimination Chamber, we're around about 5 weeks away from WrestleMania, and you probably do want to have your 2 main events locked in. So that's what I'm going to say. Grayson Waller gets all in their face, and I bet you this too. Grayson Waller will get a mega reaction, like, oh my gosh, Grayson Waller, he's from Australia, and he's such a good heel, he is able to turn the fans. That's what I'm predicting. That's what I'm going to guess. Now, of course, The Rock and Roman Reigns will be there, and if they are, that's going to be a terrific segment, so that's a win-win. We also have the Men's Elimination Chamber, which I think is super duper interesting this year, because I can't figure out who's going to face Seth Rollins. Ever since CM Punk got injured, I keep looking off into the ether, especially with all this Sami Zayn stuff, although now I'm starting to think it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title. But we do have Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, Bobby Lashley, and LA Knight. Now, if you want to come into my house right now, and you'd be uninvited, so I'd be a little bit surprised, I think you could have anyone win. I genuinely, I don't think it is going to be a Logan Paul, for example. But if you did want to do Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul, you could. They fought last year. There's a built-in story. If LA Knight won, everyone would be so happy, like, oh my gosh, La won, because he's super duper over. Drew McIntyre is the guy I think probably should win, because he has all the momentum in the world. But Randy Orton is Randy Orton. And while that's the worst argument ever, it's still true. Randy Orton is arguably the biggest star on the roster, because he's reached that amazing place where he's been around for so long. We all just love him. Like, one day he would try and turn heel again, and even though he's brilliant as a heel, I actually think it'd be the hardest heel turn he'll ever have to do. And if Kevin Owens somehow won, and he got into the main event of WrestleMania, I'm not going to moan at that, especially because it means he would have done triple header. Main event of WrestleMania 38 with Steve Austin, main event of WrestleMania 39 with Sami Zayn in the Usos match, and he main evented this one too. And as I will always say, when Kevin Owens' name comes up, he should be a world champion within the next 12 to 18 months. It's been too long. Ultimately, though, I do think there are ways and means that we can get around this. So I have a funny feeling that Karrion Kross's crew will be in Australia, the Last Testament, because otherwise, what the flub are we doing with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits and them? Like, I like the 2 groups, but the war they're having is really strange. Like, we kind of mucked around with it at the Royal Rumble, but then there was no follow-up. And I think if you do want to protect Bobby Lashley, which I assume that we do, although poor Bob, he needs a better direction at the moment. He's not going nowhere, but he should be in the tippity top scene, and he's just nowhere near it. But I would imagine that Karrion Kross's crew probably get in the Elimination Chamber. I know it ruins a stipulation, but you got to deal with it. That's 2024 for you, and they kind of murk him over a little bit, which is how we get him out of there. And it's probably going to be the same with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. Now, they can't pin each other, but I think whatever the idea here is going to lead to WrestleMania, where it will be Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship, which I think Kevin Owens will win, by the way. I think it's going to be a lovely woohoo moment, which means that Kevin Owens is still having a wonderful WrestleMania run. Now, it's probably going to involve brass knucks. It's probably going to involve Logan Paul's mate, who just turns up, who we haven't even given a name to. But whatever happens there will be the reason that Kevin Owens and Logan Paul do get taken out of the thing. I mean, maybe Logan Paul used the brass knucks on Kevin Owens, and because he's running around going, ha ha ha, you could have Randy Orton knock him out, and he pins Logan Paul. And then actually, whoever you do choose to knock out Logan Paul, it could be a LA Knight thing, to be completely honest with you. So Logan Paul uses the brass knucks, he smashes Kevin Owens, and then Logan Paul's all like, oh man, I'm a social media magnet. When LA Knight has the brass knucks, he hits Logan Paul and he pins him. And maybe you do a triple threat, right? Maybe you do a triple threat. Although the other thing I'm going to say is, I would presume that AJ Styles is probably in Australia. I am booking, this is the most overbooked Elimination Chamber match ever. But I think he somehow has to screw LA Knight too, because that's clearly a program and a feud that we haven't finished unless we're just going to leave it. I do not know. But again, you can see how there are elements here where you want this guy to win, oh, but it doesn't matter. You want this guy to win, oh, but it doesn't matter, because we have put other characters in place, which means we bring it down to Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Now, once again, either of these two people can win. Drew McIntyre, as far as I'm concerned, has more momentum in anyone in the company. He's turned heel, he's justified his heel turn, and he just beat Cody Rhodes. Now, the fact he didn't beat Cody Rhodes does put an asterisk onto this, because if you just beat Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes is going to win the other championship at WrestleMania 40, which we all presume he will do, doesn't that mean Drew, the truth sayer, should be able to come out on Raw or SmackDown and say, listen, Cody, I was only the second guy to pin you in 2 years, therefore I am the brand new #1 contender. No one can get mad at that. It's totally accurate, but then that would mean he's probably not going to be facing Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, or at least not winning that World Heavyweight Championship match, which also makes your eyebrow go up. So the only reason I don't think it's going to be Randy Orton is because Randy Orton is on SmackDown. But then what does Randy Orton do? That is the big question that I want you to answer in the comments, and make sure you subscribe too. I mean, maybe you think he does win here and we just do an out of nowhere Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins program, which you can do. There's history there, and again, they're such megastars, it would feel like a WrestleMania main event. And we do have to pivot because we don't have CM Punk. But because I don't think he is going to do it, and I think I would give it to Drew McIntyre, because I just do not think Drew McIntyre should be losing, even if Sami Zayn interrupted. Again, way too much overbooking. I don't know where that leaves Randy, and I think it's one of the most interesting questions going into the WrestleMania. And actually, I did a video on What Culture. Don't think it's up there, but keep an eye on for it and go subscribe to What Culture Wrestling too, where it's like 10 wrestlers who could miss out on WrestleMania. Now, it's not going to be Randy Orton, but in terms of when you sit here and you let your brain ponder, it totally could be. The fact we didn't do the one-on-one Roman Reigns Randy Orton match has kind of hindered him a little bit, and he's slightly direction. But I do think Drew McIntyre will win this, and I think if we don't put Sami Zayn in the IC title match, we can end up with a three-way Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. Maybe we get Damian Priest involved in that too. I do not know, but it's going to be absolutely crazy. And I think one of the things that WWE does deserve credit for is I could sit here another 10 minutes talking about this one match and about 82 different ways that you can go. But ultimately, I don't think you have Drew McIntyre beat a Cody Rhodes, the biggest star in the industry right now, and then all of a sudden have him lose, even in a chamber when you can come up with a bunch of nonsense. So I'm going to go with Drew, and it will be Drew versus Seth at WrestleMania, but I'm not 100% convinced it's going to be a one-on-one match. I do think this is going to be really good. Again, we've got the stories, we've got the people to be able to pull it off. You've got Logan Paul, who's going to do something amazing, and it's in a big stadium in Australia, which they don't often do. So I don't know why I've decided to do this. This has literally popped in my head. If I was going to put a predicted star rating on it, and just so you know, I think star ratings are ridiculous. It's just fun. Just enjoy them what they are. I'm going to say a minimum of 4.5 stars. And now if you if you want to hate me, you should, because I hate me too, and so do my parents. We'll also talk about the tag team match. This one is a little bit more obvious. It is the Quarter Catch crew. Now, they're the people down on NXT, the No Republic clause, the Star Wars team, right? Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne taking on the Judgment Day of Damian Priest and Finn Balor. If the Awesome Truth weren't waiting in the background all of this and you wanted to do a title change, I wouldn't think that was the worst thing in the world. I mean, I think Judgment Day are going to be quite over because of their affiliation with Rhea Ripley, but it's just not the time. I love Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Obviously, they essentially started over here in the UK, so I'm always going to have that affiliation with them, and they're damn good. And I love the fact they have been put together, because I think they're stronger on the main roster having somebody else like that, and they can go on to do whatever the hell they want. They'll have banger after banger after banger. But now is not the time to take the tag team titles off the Judgment Day. You should wait till WrestleMania, and it should be The Miz and R-Truth. I don't really get what the problem here is too. Like, some people are like, oh man, R-Truth and The Miz can't win the tag team titles. And it's like, if we take wrestling for how I believe we should take it, who is getting some of the biggest responses right now? It's R-Truth. And that's because he's lovable, and he's wonderful, and he's talented, and he's funny, and you want to be his mate. And if that's the case, of course you have them win at WrestleMania, because people at WrestleMania are meant to feel warm and fuzzy in their tum-tums. They don't have to hold it for 7,962 eons like Roman Reigns did. In fact, I'm hoping post-WrestleMania 40, we have a bunch of quick title runs. The original championship owners can still get it back, but it just reteaches your audience, oh, hi, you never know what's going to happen in the World Wrestling Federation, so you better be careful. But I would just go out there, let them have a great match. I think the Finn Balor interaction too will be so good, and Damian Priest is just the man right now. And while you could probably argue it's good to get a tag team title off Damian Priest because he needs to do something with that money in the bank, I think R-Truth is ultimately going to stop Damian Priest cashing that thing in, so he's going to screw him over, and he's never going to get a proper cash in. And he's also going to take that championship from him, which means post-WrestleMania, you've got a program lined up there anyway, so you may as well hold it off until the granddaddy of them all. So I am going to say that the Judgment Day wins. They're probably going to cheat, because I imagine that Dominic Mysterio and probably JD McDonagh were there too. That's perfectly fine. They're a heel group, and ultimately, they're about to get their comeuppance in like 5 weeks. We also have what I think should be the real main event, but I'll just put it here because I'll leave the other Elimination Chamber till the end. Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley. Now, one, a shout out to Nia Jax, who has been wonderful in this role ever since she did return to WWE. But two, I am so pumped to see Rhea in this match. She is going to be so over. She's already a star, right? But this is going to be a star-making moment. Doesn't even matter what she does in the ring, even though she'll be great. Forget the performance side of it. She's going to walk out there. She's going to have a badass entrance. You're going to have 50,000 people going crazy for her. She's in her hometown. She's not going to be able to hide this emotion, and nor should she. Be damned with heels and faces. That's not what wrestling is about, really, when you get down to things like this. And I think we're all going to look back at this as like a platform for her to reach that next level, to the point she will go on to take Becky Lynch to WrestleMania 40, and I think Rhea Ripley should win. That's right, I said it. She can then lose it at Backlash or SummerSlam, I don't care. But just to let everyone go, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming, because I tell you, this is going to be a big deal. I don't even think it has to go that long. Like, I'm sure they want it to go quite long, and I'm not saying they wouldn't be able to do it. But if you do like a 5-minute smash-a-thon, I think that would be absolutely wonderful, especially because in this match, Nia Jax, I assume, is going to be the bad guy, and Rhea Ripley is going to be the good guy. But ultimately, they could probably stare at each other for 42 minutes, and this crowd is absolutely going to love it. And again, it's nice and easy to call. Maybe there should be a little bit more jeopardy throughout this card, but you get that in the Elimination Chamber matches, I think. Rhea Ripley is going to win. Like, if Nia Jax did get the victory, a small part of me would be happy because of the chaos, Dr. Robotnik, that we would get online. But the idea of all of this, and maybe the show in many ways, is to turn Rhea Ripley into the, future Hall of Famer that she is definitely going to be. You can argue that. Always happy to hear your opinion, but that's how I see her. So let them beat the crap out of each other. Let them have a proper big woman, slapping man meat match, or woman meat match, obviously. And then Rhea Ripley hits an amazing riptide, maybe off the top rope, an avalanche one, two, three. And then, have a good 5 minutes of people just celebrating her, because that is what's going to happen. You're going to get the mammy chants. It's just going to be wonderful. And like I say, it's going to be written all over her face. So I hope this does main event the damn thing. I think we'll probably have the Elimination Chambers at 1 and 4 or 5, whatever it will be, just because that's the way that WWE works. But you have a world champion who is over, who is crazy popular, and is from Australia. If it's anybody else, they would get the last spot. So I don't see why Rhea Ripley can't get that too. And Nia Jax has done her job as well. Now, actually, talk about WrestleMania 40. I can't flabbing think where Nia Jax fits in either, because she's ran through everybody else, which is a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing. DDP, and I'm sure we can figure it out. But I just want to sit back and enjoy this for the 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. I'd be happier if the entrances were longer than the match, because I just think it's going to have such a good feeling. But Rhea Ripley wins with some crazy kind of a riptide. Nia Jax is totally protected again because she's lost to a star. Sometimes wins or losses can absolutely be operated in that way. But I'm very excited about this, and I truly do think we're going to be talking about it for a long ass time. Which brings us to the Women's Elimination Chamber, which of course is Becky Lynch, Raquel Rodriguez, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Naomi, and Tiffany Stratton. Now, there is an interesting spin to this, because I do believe at one point Jade Cargill was going to be in this match, and I think that would have been fine. You could have done what we did with, was it Shayna Baszler a few years ago, or was it somebody else? I can't remember. But she could have taken out 4 people here, and then she gets murked by another 2. She's still going to come across like a star. Like, when you are in the Elimination Chamber, kind of being hypocritical, because what I said because of Drew just beat Cody, so he does have an asterisk to him as well. But I think you can run right in the chamber, beat a bunch of people up, and then 2 people gang up on you, or maybe even the people that beat you come together to make sure you get dicked over. I don't think that's a problem, but either way, she's not in it, that's fine. Raquel Rodriguez could take that spot, like she's still a powerhouse, but obviously much more on the babyface side, although Jade would probably be a babyface too. But this one is actually pretty obvious, right? Becky Lynch should win this match. She should overcome the odds, and the jeopardy should come in the rest of it, which is, well, who eliminates who, and in what order do we do it? Now, I suppose you could have Becky Lynch lose, and then she comes out and Raw like, oh my gosh, I didn't do it, and she has to find a new way to Rhea Ripley. Sometimes the obvious choice is the right choice, and that's what we should do here. And if you want to get it down to Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, I think that's probably smart too, because people can absolutely buy into the fact that maybe Bianca is going to win, because she's a Randy Orton. What's she going to do at WrestleMania? I still hope it's Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. This ties back into what I was just saying. Give them 5 minutes and let them beat the holy hell out of each other. Nothing else, they're so damn strong, it'll be entertaining. But you also need to give something to Tiffany Stratton. Now, again, lots of people are rolling their eyes, oh, she'll just come up the main roster. People can lose. They just have to lose in the right way. So once again, I think the interesting spin to all of this is, what is everybody doing come WrestleMania? Like, Liv Morgan wants revenge on Rhea Ripley. Do we wait until after WrestleMania to do that? Do we do it on TV? I don't know. So therefore, does she have to get into something with someone like Tiffany Stratton here, which justifies why she would like to go after them? Maybe we come up with a bunch of tag teams and we do another tag team turmoil thing at WrestleMania. Maybe we're going to do another Mae Young Battle Royal. You just don't know. It's strange to me that Raquel Rodriguez could come back. going by what we've just talked about, and lose instantly? So does she need to eliminate a couple of people? And it's the same for Naomi. Well, like Naomi, ever since she has returned, it's wonderful and it's great, and she's totally going to smash it. But she hasn't done much of anything. Like, she's won the match or two and she signed her contract. So you want to make sure she gets into it as well. Now, on my WrestleMania predictions video, which hopefully I'll remember to put a card up, I said it was going to be Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton just because they had a couple of interactions on SmackDown when it came to their contracts. And if you do want to do that, you probably want to set something up here too. So I do think we want to put a lot of WrestleMania emphasis on this. I think it will make the match feel better, or at least bigger than it is already. But the order of elimination is very interesting to me because, again, if Becky Lynch went out first, you'd be livid. Bianca Belair, you'd be absolutely livid. Tiffany Stratton, there'll be some people like, man, what we call up for? That was stupid. Liv Morgan has only just returned from injury, so that's another one. It's the same for Naomi. She hasn't been around. And then again, Raquel Rodriguez. So many reasons why you don't want to do it. But I actually think having that tipping point is going to be good for this match as long as we make sure we structure it. And there's no reason why we can't do that. Again, we go back to Rumbles. I actually thought the women's Royal Rumble was better than the men's, although I don't like to compare too much because I watched a Marlon Brando quote the other day and he's like, why do we do this? Oh, he's the best ever, but they're the best ever. What about her? We're all the best ever in many ways. Like, it's an effect. If Brad comes along and he's the best person ever, but then Steve learns from Brad and gets better than Brad, then Steve is the new best ever, but he wouldn't be able to do it without Brad. I know that didn't make any sense. But I am going for Becky Lynch. Again, I don't think we need to overthink this one. We go back to my old analogy. It's a rom-com, and you want to see the two people get together at the end. You don't want to see the man or the woman, or the man or the man, or the woman, whoever it is, chop the other guy's head off, apart from in that one exception. This is not an exception. I want to get to the end of the Elimination Chamber and tune into Raw or tune into SmackDown and be like, oh my gosh, it's Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch for the championship, and the card starts to get really good as well because we've got Cody versus Roman. We're going to have that tag team match again, maybe get it confirmed on Saturday. We're going to have Rhea versus Becky. We're going to have Bayley versus Io Sky. This is some good wrestling, man, and it certainly gets me excited deep down in my tootsie toes. But the most important thing is you have to let me know your predictions, or guess. That's right. You have to guess the Elimination Chamber, and maybe if somebody totally smashes it, we can come up with some kind of a prize. It's not a guarantee, but if I looked at the comments, I'm like, one guy predicted it literally beat for beat. We either work for WWE, or again, you deserve some prize of very little monetary value. Before you do that, though, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Get the bell ding ding so everything's going live. There will be a video on the screen, probably me talking about The Rock and Roman Reigns. Give it a click. Otherwise, it's GorillaMind.com/Simon. If you're into fitness, which I am, use code Simon. Not only do you get 10% everything on store, but every now and then, if you do keep an eye on my social media, Simon316, Instagram and Twitter, you're going to get 20%, sometimes 30% off because they're always doing sales and it's worldwide shipping. People keep asking me that. Doesn't matter where you live. Otherwise, we have done social media. It's Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Finally doing TikTok videos again. Simon on Cameo if you want to shout out Samson Athletics and Pro Wrestling Tees. If you want one of my t-shirts, and I'd love you for buy one. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum, which is one of the tees. Didn't even mean to do that. Otherwise, enjoy the Elimination Chamber. You have to get up at like 4 a.m. if you're in America. I don't feel sorry for you. I have to do that every damn week. I am, of course, kidding. Enjoy it as much as you can. And I think over here in England, it's like 10 a.m., which is still kind of crazy, which means when I'm doing SmackDown ups and downs, the Elimination Chamber will have started. So I'm going to be a very tired bean, but I'm always a tired bean. Take care, my favorite beans. See you soon.